Hmm. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Southwest Queensland edition of the Village Law SEQFC preview show. We haven't done one this year, so I thought high time that we got up to date with everything happening on the range. I've got two guests with me. We've got Jason Hall and Melanie Lloyd. Good evening to the two of you. How are we going?
Good, thank you.
Yeah, good. Thanks, Darren.
Good stuff. Great to have you on board. I normally introduce individually. For some reason tonight, both at the same time. Anyway, guys, fill me in. Well, I'm looking at the ladders this year, and I'm seeing that in the women's league, there's a few more teams in the competition, and in the men's, we've got a new team in there as well, with Warwick.
Yeah, well, I was just talking about the men's. Warwick have been sort of in and out over the past 10 years or so. I think last year they might have played like the reserve grade competition, but this year they've stepped up and they're going okay. They've had a couple of wins, a few draws. So the men's comps are pretty close comp this year. I think any one of the from the games that I've watched, any one of the top four teams could probably still win that league.
Looks to be a league in four with Willowburn on top, St Albans, West Wanderers, and Rockville putting out the making up the top four positions.
Yeah, I went and watched the Wanderers played Rockville a couple of weeks ago. They were both on up near the top in a 2-2 draw. It was a decent game. I think the whole standard of the local league is, particularly in the men's, has been getting better and better. And the teams, the players are probably split across and more of the teams now. A lot of ex-Thunder players have been going back to locals, but they're not all sort of going to the one team, which is a good thing. So there's quite a few teams that are up there with a challenging for that title.
And Stanthorpe United, who put up such a brave fight last season, they're sitting in 7th place. What's going on there?
Yeah, well, Stanthorpe lost a few players. We obviously signed Hunter Murphy, who was probably their best player last year, their midfielder, who sort of controlled the game. So he's been playing with our under-23 team this year at Thunder. He's going really well. And I think their leading goal scorer, Bradley Thompson, was actually from Chinchilla. He just knew the Stanthorpe coach, but Chinchilla's actually got a side in the reserve grade this year. So he's playing for Chinchilla and banging in goals in reserve grade. So they lost their best goal scorer and probably their best midfielder. So that's made a little bit of a difference to them.
And Mel, I didn't see as many teams in the Premier with ladies last season. What's going on there?
I think it's probably just a struggle to get girls to want to play. I think those established clubs that are always going to have teams in the comp, and even if they struggle for numbers here and there every year, they sort of still able to keep, I guess, the club going, and then introduce a team that next year, even if they do have to drop out or something like that. But I think teams like Warwick and Chinchilla, they would probably be the ones that would struggle the most, because obviously there's not as much population out at those places. So whereas teams like Rockville, Wanderers, Willowburn, all those teams, there's always girls around playing in those teams, so they'll always be strong. Yeah.
So is it 2 divisions into 1 this season?
I'm actually not sure on what it is, because how many teams are in the comp? I'm not sure if they split it or not.
So there's 10 this season. Last year, if I recall, there were 5 or 6.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure if they split it. I remember they did that in previous years back, and there were so many teams in the comp, and then at the halfway point they sort of split them in half, and at the end of the season you played a grand final in like Group A or Group B, which sort of worked well. Sometimes I think if there is too many teams in the running, I guess, for one sort of grand final, it's a bit difficult. But then again, you don't want to be playing when there is only 6 teams in the comp. You don't want to be playing people 3 times a year. It does get a bit boring. You want to sort of only play them twice a year. And yeah, I think probably about that 8 mark would be great to have all the time. So there's maybe 16 fixtures, and then you have your semis and grand final and things like that. That's probably ideal.
Yeah, I think that's what's happened this year. No, I think they only had about 5 in each, so they joined it all together to get 10. I think
Yeah.
there's only Rockville's got the two teams. So they've got two teams in the same comp.
Okay. Yeah, there we go. Yeah. Yeah. 10's probably a good number, whereas 12 would drag it out a bit too much. You'd probably want to split that in half at halfway.
So Jason was mentioning before about the proliferation of players that have moved from the Thunder out into the local teams. Are we finding that in the women's as well?
To be honest, probably not. Probably majority of the ex-Thunder girls are actually at Willowburn, and I don't think that's necessarily because Willowburn's, I guess, always winning. I think it just, you sort of sometimes go with your friends or who you know, and a lot of those Willowburn girls are very, very close. So I was an ex-Willowburn girl. Jess Fry, Chantel Froloff is back at Willowburn. There's heaps of girls that have sort of either started at Thunder, gone to Willowburn, come back to Thunder, or vice versa. So I think it's sort of who you know rather than wanting to win exactly. But yeah, majority of the girls are probably at Willowburn, the ex-Thunder girls. I know that Maddie Lockwood's gone to Rockville. Sarah Sheridan was an ex-Thunder girl from a few years ago, and she's at Rockville as well. So, and then we have a previous Rockville player at Thunder this year. So they're probably the main two clubs that girls go to. I know that there's two, maybe three schoolgirls that are at Hawks, and possibly a few actually at one or two that are at USQ. So yeah, there is quality all over the competition, really. Yeah.
So looking at the ladder, we've got Willowburn 9 from 9, Rockville Rovers in second, Highfields in third, Lady Hawks in fourth. It doesn't seem too dissimilar from last season, does it?
Yeah, you're right. I think that sort of seems to be the story every year. It seems to be Willowburn and Rockville up the top there, and then Highfields, USQ, Hawks, things like that, teams like that sort of fight for that third and fourth spot each year. But this year it actually seems like it's really Willowburn and Rockville that have had consistency the whole season. They're sort of running away with it, and they've had some big wins against third and fourth place. So they're definitely the two teams to beat at the moment.
The Willowburn team have only conceded 3 goals in their 9 games, so that's an amazing effort.
Yeah, especially when they don't have an actual goalkeeper. So they've got field players going in goal. So each girl every week they have a half in goal. So yeah, that's 3 goals conceded, and that's without a actual legitimate goalkeeper. So that's pretty phenomenal.
Does point to the strength of the club.
Yeah, that's it.
The other one to probably point out, Darren, that the girls, Mel mentioned before, Maddie Lockwood's gone from Thunder back to locals this year. Maddie just came out of the juniors and was sort of struggling a little bit with finishing school and things, I think, so she just wanted a year off, but she scored 36 goals in the 9 games for Rockville this year.
Wow.
I think she scored 10 in one game, didn't she, Mel?
Yeah. It's crazy.
So we could, our Thunder girls could use her at the moment, but
yeah,
I have to get her back next season.
Yes, Maddie, if you're listening.
Yeah, she'll definitely hear it, because everyone's going to send this to her now, so that's okay.
It. No, she's quality, and I think it shows that she's well above that local league. She's just got so much skill. So I think once she has a bit of time off, I think everyone would actually love to see her back enjoying the game. So that's the main thing, and that's what she's doing at the moment. So I'm happy that she's happy at the moment. That's the main thing.
Yeah, agreed.
Let's move on now to the Thunder women, Mel. You're of course out for the season with an injury. There were promising signs at the end of the last season that the team was making progress, and a couple of quality additions, but it just hasn't happened for the girls this season.
Yeah, I think I spoke to you a few weeks ago when we did the women's preview show, and I sort of said that we at the end of last season, we did have such a quality team and a lot of older heads in the team, which was really good for experience. But a lot of those girls moved on or injured, things like that. And our start to the season wasn't really ideal. We've had a few more injuries, things like that. We've had some like a few good additions, and in Lauren, people like that. We had another girl, Savannah Teakle, who's only 17, and she's blistering fast. And unfortunately, we lost her to a knee injury in the first game. And that first game, she was absolutely tearing through the back line. So I really looked forward to her having a good season, but unfortunately, that's not going to pan out the way we wanted. But I think we now actually have a new coach, which I don't know if you know that, Darren. So that's Mick Turvey. He was the coach with the 23s, and he's been at Thunder for a few years. He used to coach the Toowoomba Raiders team about 10 years ago, the women's team. So he's bringing a bit of a new outlook for us. So even though our results obviously haven't gone our way, we look forward to just building, I guess, keep building in the season, and hopefully we can score some goals and see how we go.
How many games has Mick been in charge for now?
I believe this might be our third, possibly
third.
Fourth.
I think it's a third, isn't it? I think it's a third, yeah.
Yeah, that might be it. I just sort of got mixed up with the Kappa game, if that was in it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, that'd be count. That'd be 4 with the Kappa game.
Yeah, so not many, but I think it's been a positive change, I guess. Not saying that there was negativity beforehand, but changes sometimes aren't great. But I think it has been positive. There's been nothing really negative to say about it. So everyone seems to be happy with how it's going.
Have you noticed a change in the playing style?
Yeah, I think so. I think there was a bit of change in our formation, or, every coach talks to players differently and players react differently. So it's interesting to see how Mick gives, I guess, feedback to players, how they react to that, and that's different to how David did, and some people just respond differently. So that's been interesting, I think, and everyone seems to be positive about it.
All right, Jason, let's move on to the men's team, and currently sitting the Thunder team, of course, and they're sitting in third place at the moment, a bit behind the high-flying Brisbane City, but still well in the hunt.
Yeah, look, we've had a pretty good year, really. We've only lost the 2 games to, 1-0 to Brisbane City and 4-3 to Rochedale, which, both of those games probably could have gone either way. They were pretty even games. And we've, won the rest. Most of our games have been pretty tight. I mean, I think I've said this the last couple of weeks, every team seems to lift to play us this year, make it a tough game. Wolves, bottom of the table, they kept us scoreless for 70 minutes last weekend, and we scored 3 late. I think that's probably been the big thing our team's focused on, is that patience and not getting flustered, just playing football. And we know we're good enough to score, and that's sort of been what's happening for us. So, look, we're pretty comfortable where we're at. We obviously play Brisbane City tomorrow night, FFA Cup game. So, that, even though that probably doesn't mean a lot to Brisbane City, I think if we can go well in that game and perform well, it might give us a little bit of an edge in the upcoming league game against them. We got them in about another 4 weeks, I think, in the league as well.
Going so well in the FFA Cup, is it something that the side's targeted, that if they can get through this next game, then so close to making that final 32?
Yeah, look, absolutely. We had a bit of a team meeting at the start of the year, and obviously we had a pretty good year last year, and so we put it to the players, what were their goals for this year. And it was actually one of our youngest players, Cormac McCarthy, who was a leading goal scorer in the under-20 competition for the whole comp last year. Everyone had a bit of a say, and we asked Cormac to write it up on the whiteboard, and rather than writing everything that got said, Cormac just wrote "win it all," and that's sort of becoming our catchphrase this year. So the boys have really set their sights on doing well in everything we play in, and we'd love to make to make the final last 32. So we're going to have to win another couple of games to do that. But this is as far as we've ever made it in the FFA Cup. We've never been in the round, the sixth round before. So we're putting the best team that we've got on the park tomorrow night to play Brisbane City. And after tonight, it looks like when we win that one, we'll be playing Lions for a spot in the round of 32.
There you go. And that's a pretty good catchphrase that you've got there, win it all, because if you're going to get promoted this season, pretty much with the remaining fixtures that you've got, you're going to have to win them all, aren't you?
That's exactly right, yeah. I mean, we set a goal, like last year, I think we won 15 games, 1 draw and 4 losses. Any other year in the FQPL, it would have been enough to get promoted and be first, but it wasn't last year. We missed out by 2 points. So this year we sort of set our target a minimum of 16 games. And to be honest, I don't think winning 16 out of 20 is going to be enough. This year, I can't see Brisbane City losing more than 4 games. So yeah, we are going to have to win every game from now through to give ourselves a shot, I think. So that's what we're trying to do.
All right, let's switch our attentions now to the Brisbane Capital League, and we've got Willowburn sitting in Division 2 at the moment. Now, they've had a few struggles this season, Jason.
Yeah, look, they've got a pretty similar squad to what they had last year, but obviously with the FQPL2 coming in and in the all of the Brisbane competitions, a lot of teams then stepped up. So I think Willowburn finished in the top 4 in Cap 3 last year, and they did quite well, but that was probably their level and where they were expecting to be this year. And then with all those teams moving, they got pushed up another level to Cap 2, and just that quality is just a little better. But they're still competitive. I mean, they haven't been flogged in any of their games. I think they've only got a goal difference of -3 over the 5 games. So with a win and a draw and 3 losses. But look, they'll keep battling. There's quite a few ex-Thunder players in that team, and they're quite a good balanced side. So I think they'll hang in there, and they'll give a few sides a run, and hopefully they can get up to that top 4.
Very good. Let's have a look at this weekend's fixtures in the TFL. Mel, I'm going to start with you. We've got a top of the table clash. Round 10, Willowburn hosting Rockville Rovers. Should be a beauty.
Yeah, I think so. Look, to be honest, if Willowburn control Maddie Lockwood, they'll control the game. They'll win the game. It's as simple as that. You can't sort of play a game and not think that Maddie Lockwood is a threat and have your best defender on her or watching her. But in saying that, when you play a team with a really, really good player and you just focus on that player, the rest of the team always steps up. So they can't take it lightly. And obviously Willowburn have quality all around the park, as do Rockville. So it'll be really interesting, I think. I think it'll be a really, really tight game. And maybe Willowburn not having a goalkeeper, that might be the difference, like an actual goalkeeper. So yeah, that'll be a really good game to watch, I think.
There we go. That's 5 o'clock Saturday afternoon at Commonwealth Oval. It's interesting looking through the competition this season. The Chinchilla and Warwick and Gatton in the competition. There's a lot of travelling now for these teams.
Yeah, that's right. Which is sort of tough. That's sort of why you play local league, because you don't want to travel too much. I feel bad for teams like Chinchilla and Warwick. I guess it's not that big of a trip, and it's obviously fun to play footy on a Sunday. So, but there is a bit of travelling. Gatton's not too bad as well. I think Gatton only have 1 team this year. I think they did have 2 teams previously or something like that, but they might have combined them all into one. I'm not too sure, sorry.
Yeah, they did, Mel, yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I think they had a pretty strong side and a weaker side, so they probably just condensed that into one. It's a lot of, I guess, Gatton's a sort of small place to have 2 teams, which is really good. Like, I wouldn't think they would have enough to have 2 teams, but that was good.
They do have that university nearby, so there's always the wealth of young people in the area.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I think rugby league's taken off a little bit everywhere. So I think a few girls have sort of switched from soccer or AFL to rugby league, and even AFL is pretty big. So yeah, but that's good that they've got the numbers down there still. Gatton's a really good club. They got really good volunteers, president, everything like that. They're a really, really strong club. They seem like they have a really nice culture down there.
Interesting. All right, so just looking at the remaining fixtures, Highfield's taking on USQ, Rockville Rubies up against Gatton, Chinchilla Honey Bears up against West Wanderers, and Warwick Wolves taking on the Lady Hawks. Jason, let's have a look at the men's round 11 fixtures. So we've got Willowburn up against West Wanderers, Warwick up against Gatton, Rockville Rovers playing Stanthorpe United, and St Albans against Highfields. Any of those games stick out for you?
Oh yeah, I think the Willowburn West Wanderers game's probably the match of the round there. West Wanderers were on top of the table at the completion of the first round, so they've made the President's Cup one of the differences we have here in the TFL. The top two teams at the end of the first round play the President's Cup. So that was West Wanderers and St Albans actually in the men's. Willows were in third, but since then they've played two games, won them both, and Wanderers have had a draw and a loss, and Saints a loss and a win. So Willowburn are now on top. So I think that game will be the one. Wanderers looked early, like they beat Willowburn early in the season, 6-0, I think the score ended up. But the last couple of weeks, Wanderers had a draw against Rockville, and then St Albans beat them 4-0 last weekend. So they've just lost a little bit of form. So that'll be a good game and a good test for both those teams. The other one I like is probably the Rockville Stanthorpe game on the Sunday. Rockville are probably another team that I put in there with a good real chance this year. And as we all know, Stanthorpe had the Cinderella story last year and got all the way to the grand final, and probably should have won that grand final. I think they were probably the better team on the day, but Willows hung in there and got the win. But Stanthorpe has started to find a little bit of form over the last few weeks, so that'll be a good game against Rockville as well. The St Albans Highfields game, probably be a cricket score, I think, there. With Highfields is sort of a newer club in the senior men's. They've probably didn't really have the players for a premier side, but they've got the numbers, so they put a team in each of the divisions, and they've been getting beaten fairly heavily all year. I think Rockville beat them 9-0 last week. So, and Saints have got, I just did a count, there's 11 ex-Thunder players in the St Albans team, so they're quite a strong team.
Excellent. All right, and in the Brisbane Capital League 2, Willowburn are travelling to Springfield United, which should be a good journey for them. They can take advantage of the local drop. The Springfield United have their own design, their own beer, Springfield Lager, I think it's called. So if they want to hang around after the game and try the local offering. Yeah,
I think they had some pretty good games last year. Of course, Springfield made the grand final last year in that in Cap 3 and earned promotion. So yeah, I think there's already a bit of a rivalry building up between Springfield and Willowburn. And the Thunder men's team are 6 o'clock Saturday night up against Middleton FC, who've really struggled this year. So you'd be pretty confident of 3 points in this one. Oh, look, you never know. They've come good the last couple of weeks. They had a really good win last weekend. I'm just struggling to think who they played now, but they won 5-2. I think last weekend. So they've actually won a couple of games now. They had a tough start to the season, but yeah, they've got some decent players. They actually signed during the transfer window Shooter Kobayama from Redlands, who's been Redlands' leading goal scorer for the last 4 or 5 years in the NPL. So he's now gone to Mitchie, and I think although he probably hasn't scored a goal yet, I think he's really given them a point of attack, and they're starting to look a lot better. So look, there's no easy games in the QPL competition this year. I think I've said that to you a few times. Any team can beat any team on the day. So, and look, we've as you know, we played Sunday. We've got Brisbane City tomorrow night, and then Saturday we've got Mitchie. So, 3 games in 6 days. So it'll be a test for our depth, but yeah, we'll go into that one thinking we can win it.
And Mel, the women's Thunder team coming down the hill, taking on the Gap at Walton Bridge Reserve. Now, normally
we have Peninsula this weekend.
Is it?
Yeah.
Big game.
Yeah, Penn Power we've got this weekend. You might be looking at the wrong date.
I am. I'm 1 week ahead of myself, which isn't unusual. Game against Penn Power. So this is the big chance at points.
Yeah, that's it. I obviously Penn Power will be thinking the same thing, but it's going to be a really important game for us. Hopefully we can sort of not concede any goals and look to build and move forward. That's probably been our struggle this year. We don't have that outright striker or outright attacker. Obviously losing Louise and Abby, we sort of lost a lot of that firepower. So, and we had Savannah Teakle at the start of the year, who I think could have been a really great striker. Maddie Lockwood as well is a great winger and can be a striker. So that's probably been our struggle at the moment, sort of getting natural wingers to be in striker roles, which as a former striker, I know that that's one of the hardest jobs on the pitch, if not the hardest. Maybe not exactly hardest working. I think that might be your midfield, but the runs a striker has to make and you just have to know where the ball's going to go. You have to be so on it. So trying to get natural wingers into that striker role, we've been trying to work on that probably the last few weeks. And I think it is coming together. Something just needs to click and everyone sort of needs to come together in that final third so we can put a few goals in the back of the net.
What's happened to Louise this season?
Sorry, Jason.
Sorry, Darren. I was just going to back Mel up there, Darren, with I mean, I know there's been some big scores against the Thunder Girls this year, but when you watch them play, they're actually quite well organised in defence. It's just that we spend the whole game in our defensive half, and so that's why the goals come. Like, and as Mel probably underplayed a little bit, we lost probably our 5 best attacking players from last year. So we had, Lou and Abby and Sinna Perrin up front. We had Jay Jackson in the midfield who used to push forward, and then Mel, who's our best player. So those 5 out, and we haven't replaced them with anyone. We had Maddie Lockwood and Savannah Teakle coming through, both for different reasons, have pulled out. So you take out 7 attacking players out of a team, it's going to hurt anyone. So we can just fix that attack. The goals will dry up because we've got quite a strong defensive team.
Yeah.
So what happened to Louise Rolfe?
Louise actually retired, unfortunately, for us. She just sort of wanted a rest, I think. So she's not playing at all at the moment. She's just coaching a lot with Thunder. So she made the decision late last year, sort of thing, to retire, which unfortunately isn't the best outcome for us because she's still got it. The body's still there. She might not think it, but she has still got it.
You two've got some work to do. You've got some convincing to do.
Oh, don't worry. Everyone has tried. Everyone has tried. She's put her foot down. She's saying no, which is fair enough. Like she's done so much for the club, and she still does so much for the club. So we need to just leave her alone, or else we might live forever.
All right. We might leave it there, guys. Thank you so much for taking the time out to update us and everything TFL and Thunder and Willowburn. So it's great to, it's only taken 10 weeks, but finally we get to catch up with everything that's going on. So thank you for your time.
No
worries, Darren. Anytime.
All right. Now, I can't promise you that we'll be doing this show every week. We're already doing 4 a week. So we might catch up a little further down the track as we get a little closer to finals time and see the run in home. That might be the best way to go. So Melanie Lloyd, Jason Hall, thank you for your time, and thank you everyone out there for watching. We'll see you soon.
Thanks, Darren. See you, Mel.
See ya. Thanks, guys.